It's a return to form of just classic old school filmmaking that, Universal and Amblin are just incredibly skilled at. And the thing that, like, I think separates them from, honestly, like, just the other studios in terms of monster and also just old school filmmaking. The practicality of it, or the practical nature of it, like from the sets to the locations, and also André Øvredal's vision. Like, we sat and we talked about it, and I just felt like he was incredibly collaborative, generous, and had a point of view about this thing and how to actually shoot it, because it is a bit of a monster, for lack of a better word, of a film to make. So, and there's a lot of pressure, but he didn't operate with that pressure on set. And so just thought it was a good opportunity to come back, and then also to be able to play this particular character was just fascinating for me. I thought it felt like an old school, like that character, like a character thriller, like a character piece. I felt like the script was, and it, it went through changes as we went through it, but I felt like it was character driven. And one of those characters being Dracula. So Dracula wasn't just this crazy, this mindless animal. Dracula is very much he's still a monster in this version, but he's not the monster that we're used to. And I think that was the appeal, because we haven't seen it before, Oh, Clemens is he's a legend in my eyes. He's honestly he's this Cambridge educated black doctor who, for me, was an opportunity to tell that story, because these men existed during that time, and but also he represents something in this film that isn't often seen in the horror genre. And so to be able to be a black lead and be also the person who doubts, you watch his journey, he sort of doubts the supernatural because he's a man of science, and he's a man who doesn't believe in myths and all of that until he's confronted with this thing that he can't escape, literally can't escape. And I just thought it was important to tell that story and to watch his journey and his evolution in the same way you watch Dracula's journey and evolution throughout the thing. Dracula is learning about human nature. You can tell with the knocking, right, and how he's playing with these people, these sailors, and toying with them. And then you have, Clemens, who is also journeying from this doctor to this hunter, and he makes a decision and he goes for it. He has to. So yeah. Well, he wins them over. Not, he doesn't try to win them. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing I do like about that, is that he's not here to necessarily make friends. He's here to get to London, and he'll do what he needs to do on the ship, but he's not here to appease anybody on that boat. The reason he wins them over is because they see the man, and they see how he's able to adapt, and they see that they also have no choice but to listen to him because he's also the conduit to Anna, played by Aisling, who is incredible. In order for them to understand this monster, they have to understand her, but they don't know how to do. They're not equipped to do that because they don't believe in women back then it was taboo. And so Clemens is a bit of a conduit to her, and then also a conduit to Dracula as well. They're all outsiders, those three. And there's a bit of they see that in each other, I think. And so, yeah, he does ultimately win them over. It's not an easy task, but if they want to survive, they have to learn how to depend on each other, because they also have to find a way to sail this huge cargo ship across the Aegean. And that is also no easy task. So they have to bond. They have to figure it out. And I'll say they gain a respect for each other. He's incredible. Liam Cunningham, come on, man. He's like legend and also a leader on set as well. So in being a leader on set and his career and everything, we had a lot of fun just offset too, you know what I mean, and just exploring Malta and Berlin and all that good stuff. But I think Clemens and the captain also see something in each other. I think the captain sees the leader in Clemens before Clemens sees it. And I think he's the only one who's able to see that, whereas Wojciech can't see that. He hasn't risen to that station yet. And I just think there's a respect there that the captain has, because he has a bit more of the world view. He understands Clemens' station in the world and what he's fighting against, because he's seen it, you know, and he has the wisdom and the age to reflect that, whereas some of the younger crew members, you know, are a product of their environment. Oh, it's tense. It's fraught with tension, but because again, Wojciech is he's right under the captain, and he's constantly being subverted by by Clemens, who is making, in my estimation, all the right decisions. But Wojciech, is banking on Clemens failing and not, Clemens, is given the opportunity to lead by the captain. And it skips over Wojciech, and he sees that power being taken away. But it's also great working with David, because offset, outside of that, like on screen, we're like this, but off screen, we're just, it had so much fun. Berlin is an incredible city. Malta is beautiful. We had I had the time of my life. Like, I literally was just, and it was in the middle of COVID, I will say that, but it was like one of those times where we were in a bubble, and we had to be very careful, and so you have to make the most of it. And we did all of our interiors in Berlin, and we did all of our exteriors, or most of them, in Malta. And again, the sets were incredible. I think the original Nosferatu film might have been Murnau's film was shot in the same studio that we were in Berlin, in Germany, which I thought was a cool piece of like history. Kind of blessed the set as we were starting. But yeah, it was cool. It's hard to shoot a film like this that's such a tight, condensed narrative and like a horror genre with tension over the course of as many months as we did in what seems to be one location. But again, we took our crew from Berlin to Malta. We just had a great time. It was awesome.